I want the dolphin as dolphins are f***ers. Where's the dolphins are f***ers t-shirt? All right, steady on. Maybe I will make it. Let me know if you want it. Hello everybody, welcome back to another brand new episode of Business Blaze. I am your boy with the blaze. This one is the best of Googaroos around the world with Whistler. When I was young, I thought, not even when I was young, as a young adult, the dream job. You'd be like, oh, what would it be? It'd be to host a travel show, right? You get to travel around the world, you get paid to do it, and you get famous. It's like, that is the dream. And then as an adult, I'm like, I don't want to travel anymore. That sounds really tiring. And anytime I do travel, I'm like, I enjoy it. But if that was my life, I'd be like, I just want to be at home. Please let me be at home. Can I do it like David Attenborough? Can we just do the VO later? You guys go film some penguins or some and I'll jump into a studio and be like, and then the penguins stepped up. And that'll be fine. That'll be fine.
You have no idea what I'm going through. You're in a warm recording studio getting paid tons of money, and I'm freezing my nuts off.
We don't need to go anywhere, but people do, and they absolutely make videos on today's glorious sponsor, Magellan TV. How about that for a transition, chaps? Discover a new type of documentary film experience with Magellan TV and its binge-worthy documentaries, updated every week. More on them in a bit, although if you're like, I'd like to get started with that right now, I'd actually like to watch something like a travel documentary where people go places and do things rather than watch this nonsense. Well, go ahead, there's a link below. That would be fine because that's how I get paid. What happens here, Danny has written me a script. I am gonna read the script and Sam is gonna sprinkle in some fine vintage memes. Let's go! I recently embarked on an epic journey down memory lane as I took time to revisit every single street on which I'd lived at some point when I was growing up. Danny, you must have been really bored, mate.
He's just down in the basement playing with his dolls.
It took longer than it might have taken some people because we moved around so much when I was a kid. Although I do make fun of Danny for this, which is a bit unfair and a bit like pot calling the kettle black because I've not done this. But I've been onto Google Street View and I was like, yeah, let's go walk around my old neighborhood and see what's changed. Because Google Street View is amazing. And I just spent a long time just describing why would I travel somewhere. I can just look it up on the internet. It's like Great Pyramid of Giza, don't need to see that. I've seen pictures of it online, haven't I? Haven't I? Why waste my time with travel and life experiences where I could just see it all on a screen? Idiots going places. And the problem was that it was very much a downhill journey. Due to dwindling fortunes and divorce and dire developments, every move into a new home was a massive step back into increasingly cramped dwellings in increasingly rougher areas upon the cobblestones of which even the hardiest of bin men dare not tread. Danny, we've talked about making the scripts horribly depressing. Uplifting, man. Come on!
I should have left you on that street corner where you were standing. But you didn't!
That's actually true. For a brief time, our local bin men boycotted our neighborhood because local youths kept trying to set their truck on fire. Jesus Christ, Eddie, did you grow up in the Biff Tannen parallel universe? What the f***? Of course, such a downhill story is not unique, but I suppose it's a bit harder to take when you're growing up but clearly travelling backwards. And it's meant that my recent magical wander down memory lane started off as quite a pleasant trip into a golden nostalgia and ended up with me getting stabbed. Danny did not really, but quickly ended up feeling like a nightmarish descent into darkness and dog and despair. But I'm so glad I didn't bother to take the journey on foot in the real world. That would have been a depressing waste of energy. Instead, I mooched around on Google Maps Street View. Oh, Danny and I feel like lately with the scripts, we've just been so gloriously on the same page that people are going to start doubting whether I actually read these ahead. I have not, I promise. The very first few ones I did, because I wasn't confident enough in myself, and now I'm still not confident enough in myself, I just don't care. I just mooched around on Google Street View while polishing off a couple of glasses of wine. That's a much better way of doing it, with less immediate risk of violence. In fact, Google has helped me travel around the world for free during this extended period of lockdown, or historians from future years might describe it, lockdown. The early and still faintly optimistic years. Years, Daddy, yes, I want my life back. And the great thing about exploring the world from the comfort of the cold basement floor is that almost every location on the planet comes packaged with a long chain of insightful Google reviews from users who are happy to share their traveling experiences so that you never have to bother going anywhere at all. This is obviously quite handy for business recommendations. For example, when visiting the Rotherham, it's always a good idea to check out which pubs, restaurants, and branches of Taco Bell boast the lowest murder rates before making a commitment to pass the threshold. But over the last few years, there may have been times when Google Maps and Google Search have given users the opportunity to compose reviews on the kind of places that arguably don't need one. This was actually my idea for a Business Blaze script. I sent it to Danny. I was like, Danny, There's really good reviews of like the Pentagon and shit. It's like Guantanamo Bay. Write me something up, Danny. I know it's easier for you because you can just copy what other people have written. It's basically plagiarism. It's free money, Danny.
Just do it!
Not just hotels and it's not really plagiarism. Relax. I once was hiring a new writer. I often hire new writers. I got loads of channels. But like when I first start working with someone, I'll absolutely like plagiarize check them. Because it's like, well, you know, I don't want to accidentally be reading someone else's article that you've ripped off and I've paid for. And there was one dude who started working for me as like a writer. And I was like, bro, I just ran this through a plagiarism check and it came up like 90% plagiarized. You've just copied and pasted paragraphs from different places. He's like, oh, I didn't realize that was okay. And I was like,
you're fired.
It's like, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that I needed to put in the job description. You can't plagiarize. Not just hotels and landmarks of natural wonders of the world, but police stations and detention camps and oceans and even entire continents. Australia. Bit dangerous, isn't it, mate? For example, Mako Run had this to say about the Pacific Ocean. Wonderful ocean, very refreshing, although it needs a heating feature. If it was drinkable, I'd rate it 5 stars, but I'll keep it at 4 until the developer fixes the water. Almost every species is aggressive, except for the dolphins. Sometimes. But dolphins can also be aggressive. I think dolphins are rapists. Like, the dolphins do, like, rapes, they use drugs. Dolphins are is what we can take away from this. And no, I'm not putting that on a t-shirt before you'll get in the comments being like, I want the dolphin as dolphins are f***ers. Where's the dolphins are f***ers t-shirt? All right, steady on. Maybe I will make it. Let me know if you want it. I suggest making it breathable too, and maybe add some more light in the deeper parts of the ocean. And I'm not sure how easy or ultimately useful it is to try and sum up a whole continent in a short and snappy review. I don't imagine that there are many people out there who are considering an incredibly vague trip to anywhere in Asia, but figure that they should check out Google reviews on Asia first, just to confirm that it's definitely the right sort of continent for them. It's like, yeah, Asia. Very homogenous. Hardly diverse at all. Some people gave it a shot anyway. One presumably British critic sums up North America with the words, a great continent that would merit 5 stars if only the inhabitants played cricket. Well, yeah, obviously. Everything's better with cricket. I don't know, I used to play cricket as a kid. It's fairly boring. I mean, it's not as boring as baseball, but it's fairly boring. Whilst a guy called David dishes up the following insight. North America is one big, fat and floppy ball of love. I would love to visit just for a good laugh. Canada seems nice though. Wait, this guy's like, I love it, but Canada seems nice. I don't understand.
Canada, you did it again. You even found a way to ruin this. Why? Why do we let you be a country?
Moving over the pond, Jeremy is happy to give 4 stars to the continent of Europe. For some reservation, he describes Europe as the cradle of modern civilization. Lose yourself in a whirl of rhapsody and romance. Loses a star as the man at the car hire was rude and the cheese was smelly. So specific. But Jacob K was less impressed with the old continent. He complained, it was too far away from where I live, and the people there didn't speak English. Well, they did, but not all the time. Also, the food was good, but there weren't any hot dogs. Oh, there are hot dogs. There are hot dogs everywhere. Only go if you're prepared to spend a lot of money and smell like smoke. This must be from back in the day. I'm assuming Jacob K is American, because one, we used to be able to smoke inside, like I figure. Like, especially in Europe, like much after they banned smoking inside in the US. So yeah, you're gonna smell like smoke all the time. Like, it was only 2 or 3 years ago that you couldn't smoke inside in where I live in Prague. And now you can't, which is nice. And also, only if you're prepared to spend a lot of money. It's like, dude, I've been to America lately. America is more expensive than Europe. Zooming into a slightly more specific European location, one Google user delivered a detailed but quite scathing review of the curious little island of Great Britain. What a weird place. They do not understand Italian. They do not have a bidet. They are dirty. They fill the streets with roundabouts, and then they do not know how to use them. And they form long lines of cars without motive. They put pineapple on pizza. They use flip-flops as winter shoes. They walk in the rain, use garages as dumps, park in the most improper places, eat everything as long as it's fried, and take a bath 12 months a year everywhere. Wait, what's wrong with taking a bath? I don't understand. Does that mean we only bathe 12 times a year? Or that it's okay? What's wrong with taking, or do we just take lots of baths? I don't personally like taking a bath. It's like you're just sitting in your own dirt. Also, I think Americans first put pineapple on pizza, by the way.
Enjoy the fact that your royal overlords are a frail old woman and a tiny baby.
Or is this person coming from Italy? I guess they're coming from Italy. I'm so confused. He's got a point about the pineapple on pizza. What kind of deranged monster would even think that's vaguely acceptable? Shut the up, Danny. Pineapple pizza is good. And it's what you're having for dinner tonight! Getting even more specific and perhaps even vaguely useful, Google Reviews is crammed full of critical commentary on some of London's most popular and famous attractions. I've only visited the exterior of Buckingham Palace once, and that was only because I was getting dragged around London the morning after a big stag do with a banging head and a slightly grumpy and indifferent disposition. Oh yeah. It's like when you go on holiday with your mates and you had too much to drink and they're like, let's go sightseeing. It's like, oh my god, no. Please. No.
I can't believe we're at Hogwarts.
No, that's Buckingham Palace. Hogwarts is fictional. Do you know that? It's important to me that you know that.
We definitely weren't paying good money for a tour of the interior, but even just walking up the road to the palace proved to be a hassle. I don't know, I've probably been to Buckingham Palace. I don't remember. I've definitely not been inside. And I don't care to. A huge crowd of tourists was cheerfully strolling along and taking photographs of telegraph poles and manhole drain covers when a pack of police on motorcycles came tearing down the road, aggressively yelling at everyone to get out of the way immediately. One of them snarled directly in my face, telling what's up with your life. There were a few brief moments of fear and panic as everyone began wondering if we'd all got caught up in a terrorist attack or anything. This was London after all. But no, the police just wanted us out of the way because a car ferrying Princess Charles and Camilla was coming down the road. As the car sped by this chaos and hysteria, the vampire lord, Prince Charles, even had the cheek to peek out of the window and give us a smile and a limp-wristed royal wave. It was very tempting to give him a one-finger salute in return, but I probably would have been battered to death on the spot. I don't know, I don't think anyone would care. It'd just be like, oh my. The palace was alright. Also, so everyone's been hitting me up on Twitter saying that Prince William was, according to like The Independent or something, the sexiest bald man alive. And look, I'm not in the running for sexiest bald man alive, not by a long shot. But Prince William? I mean, that's an objectively not good-looking man, right? Or am I insane, ladies? I mean, he's weird and his face is all like... The palace is alright, but I don't think we're missing out on much by not venturing inside. As one Google reviewer put it, Hampton Court is far better historic example. This knackered old overrated council house will be better turned into affordable housing. Hampton Court Palace is pretty baller though, I have been there. We did take the chance to check out Big Ben on the London trip, but as usual there was scaffolding all around it, and it seems to be permanently under construction. One Google reviewer was less than impressed though.
Look, a clock. We don't have that in America.
I'll be honest, I've seen big events.
Gay!
We sadly didn't get a chance to take in the British Museum, but maybe it's just as well. Emily M reveals, I went to a friend's house once and he had a lot of stolen stuff. I felt quite awkward looking at it. Same feeling here. It's like, yeah, it's so true. Like that Egyptian mummy exhibit, it's like, wait. Is this just Egypt's history that we stole? It's like, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Oh, it's slightly awkward. Should maybe give that back. We gave all the countries back. Or they fought for freedom. But we should give it back. That'd be a nice thing to do. Moving back across the Atlantic, some of America's finest national parks have attracted surprisingly negative feedback on Google. Arches National Park in eastern Utah may boast the highest density of natural arches in the world, but one visitor was left feeling disappointed. The park was extremely underwhelming. I went in with low expectations, ready to see a couple of rocks with holes. Instead, what I saw were many stone pillars that resembled circumcised donkey dicks. Overall, it had some pretty nice rocks, but don't take the kids. What is wrong with your brain? Here's a stark word of warning if you're ever thinking about visiting Sequoia National Park in California. This place is dangerous. There are bears, mountain lions, and worst of all, sketchy people. Hide your wives, hide your kids, hide your husbands, because they will come through your window. There are bugs and stuff, and they will bite you on your face. Don't waste your time here. Go to Vegas, for sure. Vegas is more practical. It has 7-Elevens. Badlands National Park in South Dakota, located at the edge of the Great Plains, may feature dramatic pinnacles rising out over the prairie, which have helped bring movies such as Dances with Wolves to life, but not everyone is taken with the experience. I didn't see what the big deal was. We drove 1,000,000 years to see some semi-impressive rock formations. And there were rattlesnakes, all caps, everywhere. You lose cell service because you're in nowhere USA. The only thing bad about these lands is the entire experience. Waste of time. Thank God I was drunk in the back seat for the majority of the trip. We do USA, yeah, just, hey guys, thanks for driving. I'm just getting absolutely shit-faced in the back seat of a car. Like, what is going on? If national parks are anything, you could always book a guided tour of the Pentagon while you're in the land of opportunity. But Logan wouldn't advise it. I don't like their design and overall color scheme. Too sparse and too formal for me, and too many computers. And what's with all the uniforms? The shape annoys me as well. It should be a dodecagon. Does he mean dodecahedron? What's a dodeca? Is a dodecadon actually a thing? Oh, I don't know. Don't care. Let's move on. But before we do move on, let's talk about today's fantastic sponsor, Magellan TV, who do actually have fantastic, like, they've got... I've talked about the North Korean documentaries before that you can, like... I love those. Why is North Korea so fascinating?
You're so funny, Dave.
Ray.
But they have travel documentaries where they go places and see things the opposite of what I do, but thank you for watching anyway. Magellan TV is a new documentary streaming service founded by filmmakers who love history. That's a good combination because it's a documentary streaming service that has history stuff and obviously documentaries of films. So that's a good combination. It's better than someone being like, I'm starting a documentary service. What do you do? I'm a soft drinks executive. With Magellan, you'll find one of the broadest catalogs of history content available pretty much anywhere today. With more than 3,000 documentaries available for streaming, with more added every week, they've got everything from the Greeks to the Great War, plus modern history, biographies, scientific profiles, true crime, and so much more. And what's one great thing about paid streaming services? Of course, there are truckloads of sweet, sweet facts. So if you're like, don't get enough facts from the fact boy, well, you can jump onto Magellan and you also won't have to deal with commercials. So if you're looking for 4K explorations of binge-worthy topics, you should consider Magellan TV. Today I'm recommending Battlefields of the World Wars. Oh, I am I? This is actually from another video. This is an old recommendation, but that was a really good doc. So watch that, watch one of the travel things, whatever you're into, guys. Magellan TV is super broad. There's going to be something you like. So look, if you want to make an amazing addition to your streaming lineup, just click that link in the description below, and Magellan is gonna hook you up, okay? It's documentary content for days and days. You'll be happy you did, and let's get back to the video. Okay then. One particularly beneficial aspect of Google reviews is they can potentially help shed a light on some corners of the world that we don't often get a chance to hear about or experience for ourselves. For example, the platform could deliver a tempting peek into a typical restaurant or market in, say, North Korea, what? Or maybe not. Daniel Peters seemed quite happy with the service provided at restaurants. He raved, best restaurants in the goddamn world. Happy shiny people, exclamation point. Lots of happy customers, exclamation point. Such good food. 100 times better than the best French restaurant. Disclaimer, dessert comes with sprinkling of nerve agent if 5-star review not given. Savage. If you ever go to North Korea, Daniel Peters, you're gonna get destroyed by one of those aircraft Gatling guns or whatever that Kim Jong what's-his-face uses to kill people. Scary place, North Korea.
Whoa. Is it still live? I don't know. Maybe we should find out.
A guy called Tim Joseph heartily recommends the Mangyongdae restaurant in Pyongyang, which seats 1,000 lucky customers at once, so if only they could afford it. Every time I visit Pyongyang, I have to stop by this lovely place to have dinner with 999 of my closest friends. But a user by the name of Eclipse discloses a cautionary tale following an incident at the Taidonggang Diplomatic Club. I always order cooked meal number 6, but one day they screwed up my order and gave me cooked meal number 3. Of course, they looked the same but tasted different. I asked Mr. Laborer number 2 to give me cooked meal number 6, but he called his manager and now I'm on my way to work up number 4. Meanwhile, a market in South Hamyong felt some customers feeling a little shortchanged. One review reads, the shelves are completely empty, but luckily, that's all that's needed to make traditional North Korean cuisine. Very clever. This review from a fellow customer goes into a little bit more detail. Quite frankly, the merchandise selection was poor and overpriced. For example, in Tojo, the market there had a much more extensive skewered rat selection. The prices started at 10 chong. Customer service was non-existent, and I had to wonder if these people had ever sold anything to anyone. I was met with glowering stares at every stall. This may have had something to do with the Kim Jong Nom 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 t-shirt I had on, but still, what happened to basic customer courtesy? All in all, I will not shop there again after I get out of Gulag 16. Yeah, Kim Jong Nom Nom Nom. There are some locations that you probably rather not experience firsthand at all, despite some of the high-profile names that it may have attracted in the past. Ronnie Cray, the Yorkshire Ripper, and Charles Bronson, the violent armed robber, not the American actor whose name he stole, have all spent quality time in the infamous UK Psychiatric Secure Unit, Broadmoor Hospital. Broadmoor sounds scary. Like Broadmoor, it's like, we'll send you to Broadmoor. It sounds like you're gonna go to Arkham. It's like, oh sh**.
Listen, while I've got you here, I just thought I should tell you something important, something you should hear more often. I'm proud of you. I am so proud of you.
And some of their fellow patients are full of praise for the unit. Daniel Gould wrote, probably the best escape room ever, to be honest. When you finally get out, they play a loud siren to celebrate your success, and flashing lights and everything appear. It's really quite amazing. I understand why there's so many prison escapes, because it's like, what are you going to do? Absolutely nothing. There's nothing to do. Just going to be crushing boredom all day.
But I want to play.
And you're in a place where you don't want to be. It's like literally all you're going to do is think about escaping. And also you've probably seen Prison Break, which was really inspiring. Chunky Cheesy Rat also was full of praise for Broadmoor. I enjoyed my stay here very much and it completely suppressed all of my murderous thoughts. However, the food could have been better. Hail Satan! And another guest was impressed by how much money he'd saved from the value package. Just returned after a 10-year mini break. The facilities are second to none, being kept restrained with tight leather straps and electric shock therapy service available 24/7, and his and her matching straitjackets. They're just the pinnacle of the wonderful services on offer here in this establishment. In the past, I had to employ the services of a certain Madame Whiplash to be able to savor such delights at a cost anywhere of up to £200 an hour. Oh boy! This place has saved me an absolute fortune, would highly recommend. Darian Westwood wasn't so enthusiastic though. Well, for one, the rooms didn't seem to be well ventilated as it was freezing every night for at least 6 years. The food was disgusting. The pool table had balls missing, and there was only one ping pong bat. Hardly a Haven holiday resort if you want my opinion. Yeah, one of those things like institutional places. I remember at school we had a pool table and like table tennis tables and all that. But it would always be like, yeah, the pool cues are really up. The slates, what's the thing you get under the felt? Like the slate, it's like, it's rough, it's been hit with balls, like someone's thrown a ball onto the table, it's kind of it up. And then like the football tables, the guys' heads have been chopped off. It's like, why? Well, I remember once I was at school and the housemaster was like sitting down with all of us because like the chairs often got broken. Definitely not because we'd throw them about. And he was just so disappointed. He was like, boys, the chairs are broken. He volunteered or something at the local Borstal, or whatever the politically correct term is now for a prison for young people. And he was like, guys, they had the same chairs there. And they're not broken. I'm sorry! Yeah, because at the Borstal, if they break the chairs, they get beaten. It's more difficult to uncover any remotely negative words on Guantanamo Bay detention camp, which I'm led to believe does offer guided tours, so any information we glean from the privileged visitors is potentially very valuable. Johnny Appleseed takes the time to point out how getting a ticket can be something of a lottery. Admittance is free, courtesy of the US government. You don't have to do anything right or wrong to get in. You don't even have to ask to go on this free vacation. They just push a button to randomly pick you and lock you up in their fun little house. Once you've got your foot in the door, though, the fun never stops. Joseph Satukowski writes, best tropical vacation ever. The staff weren't incredibly friendly, doling out regular beatings and such. However, the other customers totally made up for any bad attitude from the staff. On the rare encounters I would have with them, we would discuss politics and such. Turns out I have much more common with the people here than those I met back home. Oh, you're a terrorist, are you? Nicholas Guayadine was full of praise for the security arrangements. From the time you set foot inside, the security everywhere, making you feel very safe. I don't recommend you bring children in, as there might be landmines in the sand. Every part of the camp where we visited, there was an armed escort with the two of us, which made us feel very protected. However, there was part of the camp which was off limits to regulars, I guess VIP access only. John Kozar enjoyed the dining facilities. The experience was truly top-notch. There was so much good food to eat that they were literally forcing it down our throats. Oh my god, dark. No. And James Simmons was impressed with the quality of entertainments on offer. Little Timmy loved the days of wake-up calls, and Sally really took well to the waterboarding events. My wife Martha entered the daily contest and won us an extra stay after competing in the cavity search and somehow winging first place 3 times in a row. Dude, what is up with your life? No! Finally, to conclude on a note of mountainous importance, I feel it's unlikely I'll make it to the top of Mount Everest or Ben Nevis now that they've started tightening up the rules and made it mandatory to be under the age of 200 and have at least one working lung and one working limb and the capacity to walk up a flight of stairs without gasping for breath. Good! Because people going up Everest, it's like you barely walk. It's like, dude, no. At least have some mountaineering experience. rather than just like a fat checkbook. I'm not too keen on the new anti-smoking guidelines either. I wanted to be the first man to climb Mount Everest while chain smoking several cartons of Lucky Strikes. But even if I'm now destined never to conquer these summits, I can at least take some icicle of comfort from reading the thoughts provided by brave people who've made these epic journeys. One Google review of Mount Everest sounded distinctly chilly. Really lousy weather, very cold. Food options, very limited. Hardly any restaurants and poor wine selection in general. No public transport. Really mountainous. Staff were unattractive and short-tempered. Dude, harsh. Bannerix had a slightly better experience, if still a little mixed. The climb was enjoyable, and so too were the views along the way. There were a few dead bodies and corpses lying around, so slightly awkward. Also, after the difficult climbing and huge payments, the view at the top was rather disappointing. We also expected a complimentary journey back in a form of transportation, but no, as soon as we were at the top after a few snaps, it was time to go back down again. The Sherpa, who we spent most of our time with, barely said a word, and we had to endure what we had done before all over again. Overall, an okay experience with a few incidents here and there. Still sounds preferable to Ben Nevis, as Drew Thompson points out. Far too steep for my liking. There's no elevators or buses to the top. I had to get my dad to carry me all the way to the top on his shoulders. Never mind. At least the return journey is much like that 85% of my virtual hike around memory lane. Downhill all the way for miles and miles and miles. Beautiful callback, Danny. Well done. But this isn't quite the end. Danny has included bonus Google reviews, because why not? The Great Wall of China. If bricks are your thing, you may or may not enjoy this. I didn't. If bricks and walls are not your thing, best to avoid, if you can, too big. Leaning Tower of Pisa. It just looks silly. Imagine a magician with just one trick, or a TV with only one channel, architectural disaster, and Italian laughingstock. Shows you what PR can accomplish. Auckland Harbour Bridge. It's amazing how it crosses from one side to the other, and cars and buses and trucks are able to drive over it without hitting the water. An awesome piece of engineering. That's a good one. That's a good one. I like that. It's like just straightforward, subtle. Bermuda Triangle. Love the wrens and planes and people floating about. Food is good, a bit raw, and my ship has a huge hole in it. But it's fine. Fun fact, the Bermuda Triangle is not a thing. Like, it's no more dangerous than any other place. And all the people are like, Simon, excuse me, Bermuda Triangle is real. There are many ships going down there. It's like, not if you look at the statistics or facts. Went there with my friends a few weeks ago, and even if I was the only one who came back, I truly enjoyed the trip and happy to go back next year. 10 out of 10. This has been an episode of Business Blaze. Google reviews around the world with Whistler. That would be the name of my travel show, which don't want to do that. Thank you for watching. Check out Magellan. Check out the merch, purchthemerch.co. You're welcome. Thank you for watching. I'll be back next time.